I think the reason to ask that question is how do you then get a situation? Because one would think that in the top brass of the military should know what is suitable, for those at the forefront of the battle. So you wouldn't be buying equipment that will eventually get to the pointsman and he says this is crap, I can't use it.
Absolutely. If you bought equipment 20 years ago and they were adequate, by today they may not, depending on your adversaries' equipment levels. So the fact that you have equipment that did well in Liberia does not mean that those equipment will do well in Goza. It all depends on what the other side is using. Now, having said that, even when you are going to bring in equipments that can be used, there has to be a process. There has to be a process. You don't just go buy anything because money has been approved. You come land it on the ground, and then we go for a campaign with it, and the campaign is a fiasco.
Talking about equipment, I mean, from that footage we saw, yes, they were driving some vehicles that looked like the Nigerian Army vehicles. Is it possible that there's sabotage somewhere?
We've had publications, we've had people saying senior military officers were taking supplies to Boko Haram camps with helicopters. We may not be able to prove it, but then it should not be overlooked. We've had people come out to say, I know the members of Boko Haram within us, but I'm not going to say anything about them because it will overheat the polity. Ridiculous as that sounds, it shouldn't be overlooked. Some people come and tell you, we know that Boko Haram members have infiltrated this organization, but I will say their names at the appropriate time.
What about when they say, look, we will name those who are funding this group?
Exactly.
I mean, here we are talking about getting funds for our military to get equipment. But these guys don't have problems with funds.
Exactly.
Because to get this equipment, you need funds even if you snatch
you
some.
See what I want to call a merry-go-round approach to things. And if we really want to follow these things, I mean, you don't need rocket science to think it out and see it as it is. If you gave someone something and you held him to what you gave him because you want results, he's more probably going to perform. But if you just gave him the funds and we're not looking to see results. For example, before the state of emergency was declared, we should be saying, how long is it going to last? If you want it to be for 1 year, what do you intend to achieve in 1 year? Where do you see yourself in 1 year? How far will you have gone in for 1 year? What will it cost to run it for 1 year? All that should have been on ground. And each commander is going to actually bring about his own design for battle and feed to his higher commander, who keeps adding them up until you get a gross design, which they all sit on and say, okay, based on this, based on that, this will be the logistics requirements, this will be the XYZ requirements, and it all adds up until it gets to the very top. And you push it forward, you defend it. And when you defend it and the funds are released, he will deliver. By all means, you will.
I mean, because, you have people who also ask that, yes, we're talking about intelligence here. Is it also possible that, the intelligence can all be gathered, but when you submit it, it has to be acted upon? If you submit all of those and it's not acted upon, it makes no sense of the intelligence gathered.
Well, I can assure you that you never ask for it and get everything. That's what makes you a commander. If you wanted 5 men, you may end up with 3. So it's left for you to actually do the plus and minus of that when you are making your request. In those days when I was going to ask my commander for 5 pieces of ordinances, I go to 8 because I know he's going to slash it to anywhere between 6 and 5. But then having given me that, he'll still expect me to come back with the results of 8. You don't come with story, you don't come with excuse. So you get your acts right, you cross your I's and dot your T's. You know your capabilities. Then you write your own scripts and you push it forward and say, this is my plan for the solution. Those at the helm of affairs will look at it. You have their confidence, that's why you are there. They are not soldiers, but they want to get somewhere and you are meant to drive them there.
Looking at Goza, I mean, yes, you see it borders Damboa, and you have, but it's so strategic to the extent that they can also move into the neighboring countries from there. And then you ask yourself, what about that multinational joint task force that we had? That meeting that we had with other African leaders,
Yep.
is it yielding any fruit? Because if they say they've captured Damboa and it's very close to all the other borders, we've seen how Cameroon is also approaching there. So shouldn't we be reappraising that? And if we are, what kind of results do we expect from that?
We have an arrangement with Cameroonians, and it's been quite encouraging. The Cameroonian side has actually been taking up engagements with Boko Haram members in areas within their country. Now, when you see a border town being declared the seat of the Caliphate for the Boko Haram, I assure you the Cameroonian end will not be sleeping. They won't be sleeping because all areas around that particular fringe will definitely draw what you call focus. For them to put that particular thing there, it means it's easy for them to insert and extricate. But if both ends of the divide, that is both ends of the countries, the borders, decide to put adequate safety nets, you can contain them. Containing them means whichever way they go, somebody is waiting.
But